Hello! Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and envies. Welcome to Warui Deshou. This is our stream of thought. Stream. We're on Twitch.
Doc, are you still loading?
Yep.
Is the loading
Yeah, there was a buffering error in my brain. No, hi everyone. I'm the Subtle Doctor. We're here to punch through puzzles and talk about flowers and demons and other things with the Promised Neverland episode 8. Joining me, as usual, he's below me now instead of to my right.
Such a power move. Oh my god.
Reflecting our ontological, not just our spatial set. No, I'm kidding. It's my buddy. It's Manchester's finest. The bestest headphones out of all of us. It's Shadon.
You think you can pull back from saying that I'm below you, like doing that power play with the comp of my headphones? You gotta bring more than that here. But anyway, no. Hello everyone. Hello. We're gonna talk about episode 8 today, amongst other things.
The best accent out of all of it? Okay. That's my final. The best.
The best ketchup drinker, Silent Disco. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the best iron.
Why are you telling people about that, honestly?
To my right, joining us as usual is the First Lady of Warui Deshou, Star Wars prequel lover. Valerie is here.
Hello, children. Goodbye, children.
And we have a special treat today, as you all can probably tell by now, to my southeast on stream.
Oh god.
Is the lovely and wonderful anime blogger, esports reporter. It is Emily Rand. Welcome back, Emily.
Woo!
Thank you for having me.
Our returning guest. We love it when returning champions frequent the pod again.
I survived Frank's. And now
Man,
here.
I can't believe
Scars and all, yeah.
Jeez, we did the whole banana fish, and it's been a long time. We all needed that time to heal before we came together again.
Yeah.
Post.
This is true.
All that.
Oh god.
But we're gonna talk 021145. These episode titles are so bad. We're gonna talk this
Their
November, the November 2nd episode. But before we do that, Shadon, will you give us an update on
Twitter poll.
on the Twitter polls?
We did indeed have Twitter polls. I'm just going to get them now.
Have you rigged them yet? Are they done?
There are 23 hours left actually on these, funnily enough.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote, unless you're Vorgelia, because Vorgelia's just going to script multiple responses back to back, like last time. Thanks for that. Anyway, so we had 2 questions last time. The first one is, do you like the Promised Neverland OP? And we had 4 answers for this. You got a choice here. We had unconditional yes, which came in at 59%. We had yes, but it doesn't fit, 34%. And we had no, because it doesn't fit, 5%. And no, it's bad all around at 2%. So people generally like it. I'm of the opinion it's good, but it just doesn't quite fit me. Whatever. It does the trick. It works. And then the second one we had was, are Crohn's boots cool? And we had 87% saying yes and 13% saying nope.
They got changed this week. They were like rain boots or something. They're shorter and browner and bleh.
They weren't Steelies though. She might have ways to use those. She needed better gear for the boss fight she got caught in. You gotta go prepared. Honestly.
Sorry, I just typed into chat that our souls after Frank's are like the Avenger anime box cover, and that's a fucking deep cut. I don't know if anyone out there remembers the anime, the 2004 seasonal, was Spring 2004, I think, Avenger. Man, that was a really pretty anime at the time. That was real bad. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Yes, Frank's.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Let's
save me.
Oh my lord!
It's much better that you don't know. It was one of that was back when I was choosing. So this is when I was in college and didn't really know up from down as far as like anime creators, let alone like what studios were doing what. So how I picked my anime to download and torrent was like, look at the key art. And I looked at the Avenger key art, and I was like, "Oh, it's a sexy lady with a little child wandering through a wasteland. This seems kind of interesting."
Oh boy,
it was bad. That's what I get for being a dumb consumer. Okay, so I'm gonna try to run through episode 8 here. I've got a lot of notes. I'll try to be brief and save a lot of.
Oh, that's B Train. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, there was not like a...
Okay, please go on.
Yeah, please.
I mean, if we don't even talk of, like, people remember B-Train as, like, just the shitty studio, but we don't even talk about... This is so bad, like, it's just forgettable. Like, we talk about the B-Train bad anime, but everyone just forgets this one. Because it's bad and forgettable, even compared to, like, Mad Lax. Okay, so episode 8. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get through this summary. So episode 8. So I noticed, like, while I actually watched the OP this time, and Sister Crone like reaches down to like scoop up all the kids and hug them, and I was thinking, like, man, an anime where the act of hugging is like creepy and dread-inducing. So weird. Like,
so does the LP change every time, or what?
No.
Okay, so Crone is going to be for the entire thing.
Maybe they'll.
We'll find out. We will find out in a couple of days' time.
Yeah, maybe they'll cut her out. So at the beginning of the episode, we pick up right where we left off last time. Crone is she's staring down Isabella. Isabella has come into her room and made her think she was going to stab her with a letter opener, only to hand her the fancy note. And the fancy note says...
Damn it.
Yeah, the fancy note says, Crone is to be mom of Plant 4. Just what she's always wanted. So you think she'd be very happy.
A position suddenly opened up. Very suddenly.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, there's room for you, suddenly. So she's not very happy. She has to leave like as soon as possible and go talk to Grandma. And Crone is sort of seeing through the facade and says, hey, Isabella just wants to get rid of me. So she has this pin, a note, and a box. We see her pick up these 3 items. Then we see her walk outside in the aforementioned drab different boots. And so she goes off to talk to Grandma, gives her the note. Grandma, it turns out, is a lot more like Isabella than Crone, right? She's not a strict rule follower. She is not a process-oriented grandma. She is a results-oriented grandma. She's all about...
Process-oriented grandma?
Yes.
I mean, Mary Poppins has seen better days, you know. got tired of dealing with kids, you know. Fuck them.
So, yes, fuck the kids. She's basically like, look, as long as Tifari, I guess, not Tiffany, but Tifari, gets...
I'm sorry. I'm just going to call
the
big
monster
named
Tiffany. Yeah, he, him.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. It all fucking fits.
Oh my god.
And he, him is now, we've learned the identity of he, him. It's Tiffany.
Oh, fuck.
So, as long
as we've established in previous episodes, it's Tiffany Obama.
Right, yes, Tiffany Obama. As long as he gets, like, a plate worthy of his stature, then, like, end of discussion. It doesn't really matter the methods that you use to obtain this goal. After this, we get, like, a quick flashback. We see, like, what appears to be Isabella on the wall, and we see Grandma holding her radar, like, she's there calling Isabella down from the wall. Like, and what this scene kind of, I think, implies is that Grandma knows that Isabella knows like the truth of the house and everything. And Grandma was able, as we know in the future, to keep the situation under control, keep Isabella from escaping, keep her in the system, and all of that. And so she's confident.
Oh my god, that was Isabella?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Mm-hmm. So she's now confident, like, that Isabella can do the same thing. And I want to point out that, like, there's this, I mean, it's like simple stuff, but I loved this juxtaposition of shots where the cage closes on Crone, and then cut to the kids saying "itadakimasu." I'm like,
I was like, God, that was so clumsy. I found that to be like hilarious, like the sort of horrible like analogy like PETA would make. PETA, very relevant. We'll talk about
it. God.
We can talk about PETA later.
Oh my god.
PETA,
well, cool shot effects.
2019, PETA inserting themselves into anime discourse. Like, what the fuck? Oh man. So, then we have like while Crone is kind of in the midst of fighting for her life, we have like Crone flashbacks set to like what could only be described as a ballet recital OST. And we have her childhood. We see her learning the truth of the house. She is one of the ones, it would seem, at least the way I read the scene, like she had no idea when the big reveal was made to her, like, hey, here's the nature of all this. This is a farm. Do you want to be a mom? It was like brain broke. Like it didn't look like she had any sort of idea. So we see her then sort of in mom school. That's what I've called it in my notes, mom school. We see her like struggling to kind of work through mom school. We see other kids like kind of beating her out at different tasks. And this is all like, as this is going, I should probably say this for talking points, but I have to say, like, as this was going through and playing out, all I could think was like, man, like, I wish, I don't know, we didn't have to like have all this kind of crammed into this one couple minute scene here.
Yep.
I have a lot of like opinions about this entire thing.
Okay.
Usually, so just like come back to me later because I don't want to interrupt your synopsis.
Okay. Definitely, we will be talking about this and revisiting this. So, we then see that Crone has left. So the note, it turns out that she had one of the three items: note, box, pen. Note was to give to Grandma about Isabella's treachery, quote unquote, and the pen and the box she left behind in a drawer. We don't really know whose drawer, but I'm guessing it's one of the kids.
I think it's Ray's because she was looking around in the previous episode.
I thought it was Ray's.
Okay, I have that written down, but like I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to like. I was like, is this a spoiler based on my manga reading? Like, I didn't want to like definitely say it's Ray's drawer, but like that's
okay.
What I
So
wrote down.
Are we going to find out more about this letter? Because we're not actually shown the letter or anything. Or
like what she wrote to Grandma.
Yeah, what like the no the like Ray's letter.
Oh, the box and the pen that that shows in the drawer. Yes.
Okay.
It will be revisited if my faulty memory happens to be correct. So as Crone is dying, which is horrible, we see, or no, we don't see. So we hear her say like she sort of has like inner thoughts directed at the kids, like, escape, you brats, like, destroy this damned world that we're stuck in, like, this world system is fucked, you need to be the ones to break it, etc. So rest in peace, Sister Crone. She is no more. She's out of the series.
She'll be half missed, at least from me.
Yeah,
half. No more.
I mean,
than that.
the last like couple of episodes were pretty good. Like she was pretty good in them. Maybe if we had more of that.
Less of the racist character show, but
The
Yeah.
potential will be missed,
Mhm.
not the racist caricature.
Wow, wow.
No.
It's not the world's smallest violin, but it isn't exactly large either.
Yeah, exactly.
The world's
exactly.
most medium-sized violin is playing.
Certified
Yeah.
medium sized. Certified average.
So, we have, like, we kind of cut away from this, and the rest of the episode is about the children's, like, plan of inspecting the top of the wall, the other side of the wall. They just call it the inspection, right? They want to look beyond their confines and see what's what. The rest of the episode is about the plan that they have made and kind of how it plays out. So, the next thing I have in my notes is Evil Frog Smile, which is Isabella smiling down at Ray in her way that she does, which reminds me of an anime frog. And as they are, so Ray has visited her after Crone has departed and said, let's switch the chemicals now. So this was his kind of planned way to distract Mom. And as they're walking up, Mom fucking blows everyone's shit up and says, I eliminated Crone. And Ray just freezes. Eyes wide. He's terrified. Like, what? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. If you want to know, by the way, just how smart Isabella is, she said that knowing full well he would run to Crone's room, or what was her room, thinking that, by eliminate, she literally murdered Crone in there. And having lured her into that trap, then corners him there and locks him in.
Yes.
Chess master.
I mean, I thought, sorry, I thought that was like super convenient because instead of running up and hugging her, he could have just ran out.
She'd have collared him easily. We learn later she's pretty, skilled.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, like, even here, you see kind of Sister Crone in the montage kind of fucking destroy some dudes.
Yeah.
In karate.
That's right. Yes.
In Japanese martial arts.
But yeah, you can logically infer from that, if Crone was trained in such a way, then Isabella wasn't. Well, yeah, we learn that for sure later on.
Crone Fu.
You're gonna get like 50 years of fan discourse. Who would win in a straight-up karate fight between Crone and Isabella? Please debate, anime fans.
Crone Fu, anyone? Anybody? Does that work for anyone else? Crone Fu? Okay.
Please no.
Crone... no, we should stop. Yeah, we should. So I didn't realize that... So Ray got thrown into Crone's room? Is that what you're saying, Shadon?
No, he ran in there because I'm inferring that he thought that when Isabella said I eliminated her, like that she literally killed him in that room.
Right, okay, yes. That's why that's totally...
Yeah,
yes,
and so she figured he would do that because he'd want to check for himself and called him there and locks him in.
Right, so it turns out that not only is the arrangement between Crone and Isabella over, the deal between Isabella and Ray is over. It's done. Like, she knows it's unfair because Ray is always held up as end of the bargain, except for being a little traitor. And it's unforeseen. She didn't plan on this. She wanted to use him all the way to the end, but circumstances being what they are, you're dismissed, little watchdog. He, knowing that, like, he needs to do his part to hold her up so that the other kids can do their inspection, does the only thing that he can think of and just grabs her to hold her in place for a few more moments. It's kind of sad that, because then she just kind of kicks him off and throws him into that room, locking him away until she can deal with the other children. And one of the things she tells him, because she says a lot of things on the other side of the door. She's like, oh, I see Norman and Emma running to the gate. Like, that must be them. And one of the things she says, so that he can hear it, is that she doesn't care about the chemicals anymore. You'll protect me. So the chemicals are being written off by her as, like, the only reason we were doing this is a distraction. So she's kind of seen through Ray's plan. I have a question here in my notes. Like, does Ray have asthma? Because, like, there's like a part where he starts like breathing really hard for kind of no discernible reason. Yeah, like is he having a panic attack or something? I mean, you would say like it would be, entirely reasonable for him to do so, but that hasn't been like mentioned or anything. And I thought that was worth noting.
Pass. Maybe he was just choking on the bullshit he was being fed. I don't know.
I think so. Like, you don't really see Ray. I don't think he's seen this kind of situation very often.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of caught him by surprise.
Pulled the rug out from underneath him.
Yeah.
Totally. I hope they revisit it. I haven't gotten like far enough in the manga to know whether or not they do, and I don't actually remember it happening in the manga, although like it could easily be missed by me or forgotten. So Isabella like starts her march toward the children, and she's doing it. She's walking past Dawn and Gilda, walking into the forest. Dawn busts Ray out of his room that he is captured in. He's unlike Ray, or like Ray can't open the door. Dawn knocks it over.
Fucking massive monkey.
Just huge. Just destroys the door. And so it's like 5-alarm fire at this point. All hands on deck. Gilda, Dawn, I'm not gonna call you fucking Bobby this week. I'm not gonna do it. Dawn, Gilda, and Ray, like, know they have to physically restrain Mom, so they, like, breakneck pace, running as fast as their little tiny child legs can carry them through the forest. Then we see Norman and Emma, like, kind of make it to the wall. Then they sort of, at first they kind of, I don't know if they just hear it at first or they sense that something is weird. I think that they just sense something in the air is terrifying and creepy, and then they hear her coming, her slow footsteps. So they ditch the stash once again. Norman's weed stash must be like hidden away. It's the second appearance it's made. But he's got to keep it from Mom. Exactly. So I found it interesting that Emma was surprised and Norman did not seem to be surprised. Maybe he's just better at masking it. And so, Hajime nice to meet you, Norman and Emma. I'm Isabella. Like, whoa. She says, it's been 10 years we've been living together, and now we're going to really talk as real people without acting. I'm going to talk to you, the food, as me, the caretaker.
I've never seen someone do the without actually doing it, because that's literally what it was. The mask is off now.
Yeah, totally. Gosh, and this whole talk is fascinating. So she's saying, like, I love and adore you truly, and that's why I want you to give up. That's why I want you to stop this, like, kind of foolish, doomed quest to achieve something that's impossible. Stop suffering and be happy. I love you, and I just want you to be happy. It's very much this, like, end of Persona 3 moment, like the classic, like, truth versus happiness dichotomy. Like, why don't you just, like, make the choice of just, like, living out the last days in happiness? Just fucking don't worry about the truth. And Emma, it's like, happiness, what about Connie? Well, turns out the death is very instantaneous and painless. We can come back to that, because I have questions about that. And so then Emma, like, kind of, like, faced with this choice, like, steps up and makes, like, a really, what I thought was, like, inspiring, like, classic speech, like, very much, like, for human freedom. Like, Emma doesn't need any fake smiles. She will decide what happiness is. Like, that's the difference between livestock and human beings. That, like, human beings...
I said, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
There's the Rage Against the Machine manifesto here. Emma de la Rocha talks about, like, the difference between humans and livestock, right? Like, humans can reject what they're given, and they can decide, like, they can choose with sincerity, like, what makes them happy, and that's part of, like, what being human is all about. And then Norman's like, hey, no more. Put a lid on it. And I was like, shut the fuck up, Norman. Let her talk. She's inspiring me. God. But Mom, Isabella's like, look, the outside is full of despair. you gotta stop this shit. So Norman says, okay, Mom, I'll quit being a good boy. And Emma runs up and, pulls a Ray, I guess, like clutches Mom around the waist to hold her in place while Norman makes for the wall to do his inspecting. And then it happens, the moment that, honestly, I've been waiting for quite a long time to see animated, and it sounds like horrible and gross for me to say that because of what it is.
And it's also not very animated.
No, but like
the Foley
sound
made his money. He got his paycheck on that.
Okay, I'm out. Bye.
How many Twix bars do you reckon he snapped into? How many pieces?
Vorgelia. Oh man, gosh. Oh, this scene. So like,
no, I really like.
I liked how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually really liked how they did it.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, they did it wonderfully.
It was very affecting.
Yes, I hear the sound in real life. I'm going like, it's like,
man, I feel Emma's voice actress during this scene. I'm not genuinely convinced that they weren't actually doing something untoward to her, to make that. That was too realistic. It was haunting. Made my blood run cold.
It was quite something. So, to basically stop Norman in his tracks, Isabella, we don't really see it, but obviously she judo threw Emma to the ground from around her waist and broke her leg at the knee. And Emma in immense amount of pain, and man, this whole fucking scene, it's like a vet has to reset a dog's leg or something. You're doing surgery on an animal, because she's cradling her, saying shh, 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 it's okay, it doesn't hurt, shh, shh, it's fine. Poor Emma, my poor Emma, and smiling, all while she's done this to another human. And this is one of those scenes where I'm PETA, maybe you have a point, because it just the human to human treatment is, all I can think of, this is such a, the scene is so analogous to human to animal treatment. At least it's all I could think of.
I will say this.
But, yeah.
I will say this. There's one thing. Oh God, sorry, go on, Emily.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it reminded me most of and I don't know if it's just because I watched it recently, but have any of you seen Sharp Objects?
Oh my!
I can't say that.
My wife loves it.
Yeah, so it basically deals with oh god, it's Munchausen's by proxy. That's kind of what it reminded me of the most, especially the way they I don't know. I can go back to I have an entire speech on the visuals in this episode. So
Man,
I'll save until later.
Okay.
But yeah, that's actually, it didn't remind me of human to animal treatment. It reminded me of this specific power imbalance between an adult and their child, and how adults can sometimes prey on that kind of unconditional love aspect of it. Because Emma still at the end of all of this, Emma still really cares about Mom, and she can't turn that off, right? That's been something that the show kind of reiterates throughout it. So that's actually what it reminded me of the most, but I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil Sharp Objects for people. I'll just say it's good and go watch it.
Fair enough. I'm going to make a comparison as well, and you're going to laugh your ass off when I tell you this.
The stream, by the way, not brought to you by HBO or Sharp Objects.
but we're open to it.
Yes, HBO, please get in touch.
Oh, Sharp Objects is not an anime? Oh my god, I make too many assumptions. Okay, continue, please.
So, Doc, do you recall back in the day when you showed me that clip of Dragon Ball Z where Vegeta's arm gets broken by Android 18?
I do.
Yeah, random comparison, but roll me on this.
Okay.
What I took away from that as someone who knew jack fuck all about Dragon Ball was that he actually screamed out, not because he'd had his arm broken, but because he had been defeated. He was humiliated, his ego had been broken.
Yeah, totally.
And for Emma, she screams initially when the initial shock of the leg break, and then stops. And then after a little bit more pontificating from Mom on the situation of things, that's when she screams again. But I didn't read that as being from the leg break. I thought that was a cry of despair for the fact that she'd been defeated. And I really liked that. I was like, wow, that would chill me more than the initial act, I would say.
Yeah, it's a really good
Although
point.
what followed was worse.
Yeah,
I'm really kind of curious as to what they were trying to do at that point. First of all, why do two children in this episode try to stop Mom by running up and hugging her? Why?
They don't know she's judo trained.
no.
That doesn't stop anyone. You're like a tiny child. She can pick you up. And like, okay, bye. And also, like, what exactly were they trying to do? Like, fucking Norman runs for the rope? And then, what?
So
What's going to happen?
Oh, he was going to run up the wall and get the observational data that they needed.
They
Oh,
needed,
okay.
Yeah.
By hook or by crook.
Can't unsee it once it's seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I think,
then-
oh, no, go.
No, you.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I think the thing with... So it is really dumb that Emma tries to, like, take her out for all the reasons you say. But I think we see twice in this episode first with Ray and how he tries to outsmart Mom, and Mom is just like, no.
No.
And then secondly with Emma, where I think... So Ray's weakness is that he thinks he can outsmart everyone, and he can't. And Emma's weakness is that she thinks she's stronger than everyone, and she's stronger than all the children. But she also thinks in this situation, she thinks that applies to her.
Does she really think, though? I don't think that was
I
kind
think
of
she
established
thinks she
as well.
can hold. I think she can think that she's good enough to hold her off in
To
the
delay it,
time, and it's
yeah.
the only thing she can think of. Like
Yeah.
I think the show is trying to make a parallel between like, okay, we're gonna take all of the strengths that these children think that they have and systematically break them down so that it shows that at each step of the way they've been outsmarted.
And
Yep.
in exactly that, like, Spirit, the moment Emma goes down, Norman just freezes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Emma is his kind of...
Emma is his strength, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the complete plan is a complete tatters at this point. And I have a feeling that were it not for Crone's like intervention leaving that package behind, that would be it for them. That's it. Game over. Because the thing is, like, Norman's, as we'll find out shortly, Norman's ship out date is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Plans altered. Emma, if she wants to escape, she is now severely injured to the point that she is now as much a liability as any of the younger children are. You see her trying to get over that wall with that leg break. Only Ray's the one out of the primary three who's like left, without any immediate threat, but he's been defanged essentially.
Yeah. Now his sort of thing that he was most useful, right, as a source of information. No more. No more. And this is all very good. This is a good way to look at the, like, it's not just like the plan itself that has like imploded, but Mom Isabella is kind of
Mom
like you
strikes
said.
back.
You're right. She's like exposed all the weaknesses. She's like, look, I know how to get to all of you.
Yeah.
Like,
I am
please.
altering the deal. Pray that I don't alter it any further. Yes, we got that out of the way. Yes! But no, this is the episode where it's like, okay, where has Mom been? What in heck? What's Mom doing? Mom, oh my god. Such a dummy.
Well, about that. That's what this episode is.
That's what this episode's about. Fucking... It's like, okay. I don't think this is a unfamiliar feeling to, like, people, but, sometimes you just kind of try your best, and then reality hits you. You try your best, and then in your face, you get proof that it's so much not enough. That you are just, like, so in the dark about some things. This episode broke my heart.
Aw.
Oh,
Yeah.
This episode fucking... Okay, these children were doing so well. I want to see these children succeed. And then it's like, oh, fuck. Like, something super massive is going to happen.
I have visual comments on that too, so...
I'm so almost done. Like, basically the last, like, 2 lines of my notes that, like, that Shadon mentioned, the second scream, like, it was such a cool transition, I thought, away from the shot, like, of Emma screaming, and then the kind of zoomed out shot, like, tilts away and then blurs out. I thought that was super cool. And we're back to the house. Mom carrying a very limp, very defeated looking. Like, you just tell, like, the way her...
You can tell.
Like, she's just... Her soul is broken. Poor dear.
You know what chilled me about that?
What?
You know what chilled me about that? Let me
What's
ask you a question, Doc. I take it you of course watching the show. I take it your wife is not, though.
Correct.
So let me ask you a question, right? If you took a single frame of that scene in which Mom is walking across carrying Emma, and you showed that completely devoid of context to your wife, what would her reaction be? What would she think was happening in that scene?
That a loving mother is carrying a dead or injured child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's the presented image of someone who apparently cares deeply about, this child, but we, the audience, know better. And that dichotomy there, that juxtaposition, made my blood turn to ice watching it.
Yep.
Because under other circumstances, this would be, oh, look at her, she's gonna, she's looking after her, gonna, take it back, get some nice porridge. I don't fucking know, but it. Oh, what notes when the episode are apart from Norman's, impending shipment out. Ugh.
Man. Well, and it's like I said at the beginning, like in this show, like the hugs are. I mean, we talked about like the kid. These are gestures of trying to stop Mom. The hug, right, and the crone hug, and the cradling of Isabella, or by Isabella of Emma. Like all these like loving gestures are. Oh, it's very unsettling that there's. The feelings behind them are so fucking different, and we can talk about like what we think kind of Isabella's feelings are, because they're very complicated. So yeah, Norman shipping out date. Isabella's like, you guys are good for tomorrow, and Ray's like, tomorrow ? And she's like, oh yeah, didn't I tell you? Word from higher ups, we got your shipping date, Norman. And big heavy implication, it's tomorrow. Episode ends. Also, Onion Bro made an appearance. He got to look scared.
Yay!
Shadon, I know that makes you happy.
Was Phil in this episode or last episode?
He was.
Yeah, he opens the episode and
he opens the door.
Yeah, he's the one who first notices Crone is gone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's Crone.
He also, like, when Emma is being carried back, he's kind of looking at it.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I must use my magic powers now.
Exactly. Okay, that's. I think the synopsis is done. So let's move on to
Talking points.
to our discussion. Fire away, anyone and everyone.
Ooh, right.
Kerblam. Bam, bam.
Bam, bam, bam. Right. I'm gonna go. Go. Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure where you guys want to start.
Whew. Pick anywhere.
I have a pointer.
Like, I have a lot of like opinions on how everything is framed. So even if I like don't agree with some of the tutorial choices, I think was like done for a specific purpose, I guess.
So have you read the manga?
Basically my point. So what I've been doing is I've been reading it concurrently. So
Okay.
I'll watch the latest episode and then I will read up to in the manga.
Man, how do you stop yourself, Emily?
So I watched. I don't know. I'm just cold-blooded like
The same way people stop themselves from reading the manga in general. Like the same way I'm stopping myself.
Yeah, like I'm doing
Laziness.
it where it's like a point of comparison to just in terms of because like I really like concern myself with visuals and stuff like that. So I think I don't know where people want to begin, or I can just go on my like big thing about a lot of the directorial choices.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we?
Let's do it.
Kick
Yes,
back
absolutely.
and you can begin rant
Alright.
now.
So yeah, well, it's not even a rant. It's just like one thing that this episode aims to establish from the beginning, just through use of like, I wouldn't even say it's like full Dutch angle, but just like slightly tilting the ground. So like you notice in the first shot with, or not the first shot, but one of the first shots of Crone coming through the gate is that the gate is up, but it's like framed above her like a guillotine, and the gate itself is making like a light. and the ground is shifted. That's actually repeated with Isabella and Ray, where it's like slightly at an angle, and Isabella's standing in the doorway, and the light's coming from the doorway.
And she's immediately behind him as well.
So it's like that's reflected in there, and the cuts back and forth between Crone in present, Crone flashbacks, and then the kids eating, along with the music, I think. So I know a lot of people are going to say this scene was a lot more impactful in the manga, and I actually agree with that. I think it made you care a lot more about her as a person in the manga, whereas this kind of frames it as like a inevitability, but also makes it like, I didn't think it was comical, but I did think it was surreal. And I think this entire episode, in terms of breaking down like everyone's expectations from each of the kids to the viewers, it's like, okay, you expected this. The show has fallen into a pattern where any roadblock they've come across still creates tension, but it's inevitably solved. You always had the expectation, like, it's going to be solved. Yep. Things are going to be okay. This is how we're watching them like work through it. And this episode goes about visually framing that as like, okay, this is not the case. And also orally, like, with the kids like eating really rambunctiously and then saying thank you for the meal with like the time skip as the credits are going by. Framing Ray's entire thing with Isabella, like Cronin grandmother's conversation, and then at the end with Emma's leg break. First of all, having it like off camera completely is such a good decision. Yeah. Because all you see of like the actual angle, which this is gonna get gross, but it's like hyper extended in the very background. So like, you see one shot of it and her leg is like this and her body's like this, and Isabella's just standing over her. Yeah.
Your imagination takes over then. Exactly.
And that's exactly what kind of Norman's point of view also is. He hears the horrible thing. It's like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. It took me back to when I was watching, I think it was like the Minnesota Vikings versus like Dallas Cowboys or something, and one of their Henderson like breaks his leg, and it's the most like gross hyperextension I've ever seen in my entire life. I can still see it when I close my eyes. It's disgusting, and this brought me back to it. So good job, Promised Neverland, and I hate you.
All right, I have to cut in here now that you have brought us into the world of sport, and say that like,
is it wrestling?
Yeah. On a yeah, I know. How did you ever guess?
Can I leave now? Can I leave?
No, you may not leave.
Block your ears.
you have to suffer through this.
You have to listen to all these gross hyperextended injuries.
Yeah.
So this one is not as bad as like the leg or the Vikings game one, but
is now the time to start playing Spanish Flea in the background as you start listing this off. Carry on.
So in a recent, there's an Irish wrestling promotion called Over the Top, and if you are a fan even of like WWE wrestling, you probably know this guy that used to work under the ring name Neville over there, but has Neville. I know, British man. We'll call him Neville. Fuck WWE, Jesus Christ! But before and
does he wear like short pants or long pants? Is he short bottom or long bottom?
No comment. So like before and after though, he was called Pac, and Pac was wrestling at an over the top show in mid-February, and he did a pretty innocuous looking move from the top rope, but he landed in the ring on his hand in a weird way. And the first time I was watching this, I was like, okay, this is some fake wrestling shit. They're saying his finger's broken, fake. But then like I rewound it and I was like, oh god, it's like the finger is like, and dude puts it back into place himself during the match.
Okay, so they didn't have to call on his brother Tupac to replace.
I'm turning the stream off now. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Look, you're talking about gross shit. I have to cope somehow.
Anyway,
but no, this is that's the first thing I thought of is like this the Pac thing, and but also now you've made me think of the Vikings game thing, Emily, so thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Did you
very
also
much.
see it? It's like one of the closest things I've ever seen.
Yep.
I think it was a Monday night game too, so it's probably viewed by a lot of people. Or Sunday night game, Sunday night. Anyway, not the point. I liked that because it was also in tune with a lot of the episode's oral decisions. So again, the kids eating, the music used in Crone's background story, the weird jazzy number that happens as Isabella walks outside and walks past Dawn and Gilda.
I thought that was heist music.
It's like King of Fighters.
I didn't think they were going for, like, again, I don't think this is supposed to be comedic, but I think the point is that this entire episode exists outside of the other episodes. Like, the entire time it's telling you, as it's, like, breaking everyone down, that it is breaking the pattern here. Like, everything from this point forward is going to be very different than what came before it.
Yeah.
And then that is ended with the leg break, but also the way that they that entire scene isn't, they like actually skip forward to her coming back to the house and then they return. So it's not even presented in like true chronological order. And then there is the scene where it zooms out and shifts and refocuses and then comes back. So
yeah,
which I loved.
Yeah, so I think that is that was the goal of the episode, and I think it achieved that, even though I think in terms of caring about the characters, you definitely get a lot more from the way the manga does it. They kind of did Crone dirty in this, like, really badly in terms of making us care about her character, which I didn't necessarily appreciate. But I also think that one thing that's missing, and this isn't like manga, it's basically manga spoilers up until the episode, so like until this episode, so it's not anything that comes after. But another thing that's really missing from this episode is the idea that Isabella is also being controlled herself. So like they kind of touch upon it with grandmother and how she says like, I don't care because I have her under my control anyway, so it doesn't matter. You get the sense she does feel like a kind of power over Isabella, but in the manga, they make it expressly clear that like when Crone receives the letter, she realizes in her head that this Isabella actually couldn't have done this. Like she can't send a missive from Central. Like that's not within her power. Like I guess she could tell grandmother about it, but like in terms of Isabella saying like, yes, I got rid of Crone in this episode, that's not, the manga makes that a lot less clear, and I liked that about the manga because I think one of the things that this show, even in this episode I guess, was really good about doing was showing that everyone in the system loses, right? Like everyone, even if you're a human at the top of the system, you lose. And that is made, I think, a little bit more clear with Isabella's character, even though this is kind of her own like internal triumph, right? Anyway, that's it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
No, that's excellent.
Can I ask a question, Emily? So in since you're reading it concurrently, it's probably hard for you to separate the two experiences in some ways, but like, did you like care if you were just to read the manga? Would you say you would care more or less the same about Crone as a character?
I mean, I think I would care a bit more about her just because in the manga she's presented as someone like, she's definitely in this episode and in previous episodes, like I've written about this, I think she was always a victim of the system, and both make that clear. But in terms of her as a person, like as a human being, I think the manga does her more of a solid in that regard, because it shows, I think, the choice to use the doll as her internal monologue was not the best still, even though like it ended up being better. Like, so when she had it destroyed, I was like, oh, this is like really stupid. And the fact that they brought it back, I actually liked that, because I was like, okay, it just wasn't completely a convenient plot device, and then they tie it into here where it was like her only solace in mom training which is obviously something that like forces you to compete against other people. But I think in terms of the manga, it definitely makes that a lot more clear, where she was like, I was told to compete, I was told to be the best, and if I was the best, then I would continue to thrive within the parameters of the system. And then this entire episode is basically like, no, actually, like that's not the case. Like, you're just not one of the people that we're going to continue with, so you're dead. And I think the anime, while like again, and I'm writing a post about this. It'll probably be out like later today or tomorrow. But I think the anime made a lot of specific choices to make this episode incredibly surreal and separate from the rest of the show. And some of them worked and some of them didn't. And one of the things that didn't work, in my opinion, was Crone. Because going back and reading the manga, I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot more stuff about her as a person that I didn't get from the anime. I still got that she was a victim of the system, but I didn't care about that fact as much.
So, like, maybe, maybe, oh, gosh, I think I'm going to have to go back and reread those parts, because, like, the experience I had with the Crone of the manga was that she was less of a person and more of just sort of like a human obstacle. I don't even remember if we got like the flash, like, I don't think it presented it in the same way. Did we get flashbacks in the manga before death?
Yeah, you do.
God
and
damn it.
Get,
my memory sucks.
You get her actual commentary on it too, which is actually what I think we're missing. Because like in the scene it presents here, it presents all the same events as the flashbacks.
Okay.
But it doesn't have that same running commentary where she was like, I was brought here, I was told to compete, which has to do with like how the system automatically, like if you are one of these people who's privy to what's actually going on, like if you are a person who ends up knowing about the true nature of Grace Fieldhouse and the world as much as you can know about it, because obviously Crone even says, she's like, I don't know, I was born here, and the flashbacks make that clear. I think that anyone who is aware of that, the system then says, okay, we're going to coddle you up until this point, and we're going to distract you by giving you a good life. But if you happen to find out what happens, that's when we're like, okay, you need to compete in order to survive. Otherwise, you're dead.
Yeah. So I thought the anime like tried to like pump. I'm sorry, Shadon. I just wanted to
go on.
Quickly rejoin. Like, just I got to reread those parts because I mean, and I don't want to. I'm not asking that question, Emily, as sort of like a background way to like defend the anime characterization, because I mean there's some stuff about it that I like and stuff I don't, and we've talked about a lot of this in previous episodes, but like I think some of the choices that they made here were probably to try to like pump life into the character and like make her more of a character, and like I've said before, like contrast her with Mom, with Isabella, but like I mean I think we've all kind of talked about how like a lot of these actually didn't really work out in the show's favor. But go ahead, Shadon.
Yeah, well, I have to say, like, from what I know of the manga, as someone who isn't actually reading it, it's all in black and white. So obviously, one of the things that you have to decide on when you're bringing the manga into an anime is what color schemes you use, and some of that's de facto, determined by default. Then you have things like, all the low lighting, the times I've mentioned before about the color grades, and Crone's flashback, which I would be fairly confident in saying is not the case in the manga. She's framed as being coloured, and I'm not talking about skin, I'm talking literally as in she's not grayscale, versus everyone else.
Everyone else who is also kind of not blindfolded, but you don't see their eyes.
They're
almost as if she doesn't see them as people.
Yeah, they're impersonal, so like they're not given human forms to us. I thought this missed a trick here because I really thought, like, as this was going along, that she was going to gradually fade out to be the same colour as the rest of them. And the thing is, like you said before about this scene trying to make her seem like more of an individual, more of a sympathetic character. But this is going to lead into something I'll talk into in a minute. Like, if the intent here was to be that this system damaged her over time and led her to being the fractured person she is now, as represented by the dollar's visual shorthand, I don't know. I don't think the show did, or the material does a great job of doing that with her specifically. But I'll get into that right now, if you'll allow me, actually, because I want to talk about it. Okay, so Here's the thing, right? I read in an article, I think you actually linked in chat before, Doc, which was discussing how the Promised Neverland is actually an indictment of incredibly competitive and intense educational and employment systems. It's not
the Japanese Sky Castle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
That's a K-drama, by the way.
Here's the thing, right? I'm probably talking out my arse here. I don't think the material does a good job of exploring this particular aspects, because the only character that the anime, at the very least, to me, goes through this in some detail, is with Crone. But you yourself, Emily, said that the manga makes a lot of emphasis on the fact that she was forced to compete in order to get through the program to become a mom, which is not translated into the show itself.
Yeah.
And
that was one of my main issues with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, is that I've not been to Japan. I've never been educated there, unlike, some people on the internet who believe otherwise. Mr. I come from Shinto Prefecture, whoever the fuck you are.
I thought about that in a while. Thank you for bringing that up.
But I have been to high school, and I will say this, like, high school at the best of times, in my opinion, unless you're going to a private one or a higher class one, is probably quite a toxic environment. But the kids in Grace House, like, no one fights amongst each other, really. The only times we've seen that are between Don, Gilda, Ray, and the others, because of the knowledge they learn. It's not because of the environment that they're in. So that element is missing from it, in which, the environment of competition, like, none of the kids are really that jealous or upset that Emma, Ray, and Norman are the ones constantly getting, top scores. And I think they've missed a little bit of a trick there in examining that element as well. And furthermore, like, their fate after they leave Grace House is they cease to exist. Like, they're dead. That's it. And maybe that's like a very blunt and heavy-handed way of the show saying, like, for those who don't become moms, like all the men, for example, that they are destined to, die, like, to cease to be people. But in the real world...
There's just one, again, there's just one there to open jars. The only man left alive. And then the rest of them just die.
But there's, like... The thing is, like, for me, once you do go out into the world of work or into higher education beyond where they are now, things still can be toxic or difficult, or, there could be a lot of conflicts. It can be damaging to you. I mean, that's where the concept of hikikomori comes from. I mean, Agretsuko does this, Agretsuko is about a toxic workplace. And if the Promised Neverland is meant to be an indictment of, Japan's, like, incredibly competitive, systems, both in terms of its educational system and what it means when you're in the workplace thereafter, I don't think it gives the material sufficient meat, ironically, to do it justice.
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Sorry.
To your joke. Boo.
Sorry. But yeah, I don't know. To me, I feel like that this element of the show feels like it's not as thoroughly explored as it could be, or is missing key elements out. Like I say, like there's no infighting amongst the kids before the actual, revelation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just like, people said, like, like it's clear that Crone was like gobbled up by it and such, but Crone's vindictiveness still happened regardless. Like, she just capitulated to it, and she's just one person. Systems, they harm many people. And yeah, they are harming the kids as we know them. I'm not talking, but that's just, the specifics of the world here, and not how it's like, turning against each other, like giving them, flaws or phobias or anything like what could happen. So that's my feeling on that anyway. I don't know.
I wonder, like, maybe I'll get pushback on this, but I think a lot of people that I've seen, like, writing about the show, present company excluded, will, like, kind of take for granted that the show is like an attack on systems, and I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, right, if it's that, or if the author.
That's my feeling, yeah.
Right? Well, but I mean, I guess, like, so on the one hand, like, death of the author, et cetera, the work is in the world, like, it's really easy to, like, sort of make this comparison, and for us to, like, mine this vein and take things from it, and there's useful and good things you could say about it. But I guess, like, maybe it doesn't matter if it was the author's intent or not, but like I guess that's my question. Like, is the author like, yes, like I want to like talk about a system, whether it's like, you know, the food industry or Japan's educational industry, or was author more like, what would be a cool setup for like my YA manga? Like, I don't even know if it matters very much. Like, but sometimes I just wonder if that's the case.
I agree. I think for me, like, if I had one takeaway theme from this show thus far, is that, like I've said, it's the Pan's Labyrinth thing. I'm not going to draw on it too much here. You know, real demons on the left, humans on the right. They're just as bad as each other. That kind of thing. But I do feel that that element of it is a bit weaker, and I don't think that's necessarily even the anime's fault, but more just I don't think it's explored with the kids themselves, our main characters. Because let's not kid here, Crone was not a main character. She was not the focus of the story. And she certainly isn't no more, that's for sure.
Well, maybe, like... So, going against what I just said, famously, like, what you hear, at least what I have absorbed via osmosis about the Japanese educational system, is that when you are a very young kid, those are the halcyon days, right? Those are the best days when you're encouraged to be creative and have all this freedom. But then when you move into like high school and higher education, like it's super intense. Maybe that's like, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of analog there. Like the farm is primary school and mom school. That's when you find out the truth about the world. When you're ushered into mom school, that the world is fucking horrible and it's all about competing and killing each other to get. So I don't know. I'm just rambling.
The ages would line up, right?
Yeah.
Considering that they're like you would make that transition in about like junior high in terms of going to like things like supplementary schools and start taking exams. That's like when you set on an exam track in terms of I'm going to take an exam to get into the best junior high. I'm going to take an exam to get into the best high school, and I'm going to take another exam to get into, you know, Tokyo University.
That's fair.
Where you go to meet your true love, Todai. So we all know. We've all watched Latina. We know the rules.
I forgot.
I did too. So now,
Shish.
Sorry.
I could hear the flashback in her voice, just like, oh no! I tried to scrub that from my mind.
Don't make me walk across that ocean, you git.
Don't make me fucking take a cab driver to your place and then not pay him.
I will get an Uber across the Atlantic. You fucking watch me. Anyway, so I see where you're coming from with the exam thing, but the thing is, like, the exams in the show, as I see it personally, they're only just a kind of arbitrary metrics to decide who gets shipped out. They're not a thing that the kids constantly talk about or obsess about or worry about. They don't even really, as I understand it, like mention what the exams are a means to an end for the kids. I mean, we know now because it's their criteria of selection, but they don't give them a false pretense.
No, they're just like, they just say it's like, Emma says it, I think, in the first episode, where she's just like, yeah, and we have to take these tests.
And that's
like,
it.
They say that they'll make us smarter or something.
Yeah, scanning tins of bean barcodes, you know, like, what? I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's just my feeling. So, I think maybe as Doc said, though, maybe it's not a question of, you know, thinking that necessarily that's what it was going for in the first place, but rather more that it's just a smaller part of it. The more idea that, you know, that it's not just about the literal consumption of people, you know, the kids specifically, but also how it consumes people like Crone and Isabella, even though she is the villain.
Yeah, I mean, it's also that, like, so, again, like, I actually don't know if the author set out to do this or not. I just think it's another thing that it's another window through which you can view the goings on. But I think that, and to the point about the tests, you can look at it as, like, even if you do everything right, that doesn't guarantee you safe passage, right? Like,
delays the inevitable.
Crone, by, like, all accounts, she did everything right? Like, she scored high on her tests, She was incredibly strong physically. And she like aced mom school, as it looked like, other than like the few, her initial struggles. Like after that, she's just like, no, like I'm gonna kick this school's ass, and she did. And then she became a sister, and then she was supposedly on her way to becoming a mom. And in this turn of events, grandmother just basically says, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, I mean, in fact, now that you mention that, Emma, this is something that I don't think was made very clear in the anime, even earlier on. Like, Crone says she wants to become a mom to live a life of comfort, but is her existing life that bad? Like, why's the downside to her current role, whatever it is, as a sister? Like, she's
I don't think you can stay in one spot. Like, you can't just be like if you're a part of the system and you've been taught to continue competing with people, you can't just. Like, I feel like it's a lose-lose situation for her, right? Because if she is just like, oh, I don't want to become a mom, I'm just going to coach, they'd just be like, okay, well, you're out. And
maybe that's...
Like, they probably would have killed her off sooner. In this, it's like, okay, wow, you bought into the system, you did everything right, and you're still dead. Through no, like, no fault of your own. Like,
you just weren't born. You weren't born Isabella.
I mean, she did antagonize, like, Isabella, so it's not like she didn't kind of have it coming in this sense. He was kind of being very antagonistic to the system itself. Kind of trying to...
Well...
So...
Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's it, I think.
I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess what you could say is... look at how kind of easily or relatively quickly Crone's demise was put into place and made happen. Like this,
totally.
It was kind of like, I don't. Maybe like they were looking for a reason is too harsh, but like she was just eminently disposable. And there's a person who I follow on Twitter. I don't read their stuff, but I think I'm gonna have to change that because I recently read their Promised Neverland review of this episode. I think it's at Divinega on Twitter, where they talked about like kind of that moment that Crone realized that sort of no matter what she did, like she was fucked. Like no matter how hard she worked, like Isabella was always going to be Isabella, and she was always going to be Crone. And just in terms of their positioning, like being super impactful for them, for him as a black man riding the blood. I thought that was like a cool element of the characterization. That again, like I'm gonna have to go back and reread the manga because it just did not come across. No one should ask me to testify at any trial of any kind. Because, like, God, my memory, I'm just going to be like...
No, that's exactly the reason that you should testify at a trial.
I don't think they own a gun. Do you remember them owning a gun?
Yeah.
So, like, someone is, like, outfitted with, like a gun belt across the, like, a bandolier and stuff. Just like, nope, not
but
a
this
gun.
Is you but, Doc, this is you on CCTV. Nah. It ain't me. I will say this, I've actually just realised something that... I will keep this brief, but... like... The thing at the end of this episode that's quite clear from what Emma says is, that damn the damn your fake happiness, damn your peaceful, endings to the long good night. I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna do what I want. Crone, right? I made the Dark Souls joke before. When she's trying to defend herself against the demon. Well, let's be honest here. She did not have a chance in hell of fighting it off. Not anyway. But even though she didn't have a chance to fight off, doesn't mean she didn't, give up. She tried. It was a token resistance, futile one, but resistance nonetheless. And there's your parallel later on. Because that's what happens with Emma. Maybe she ultimately knew she couldn't do anything about it, but, figured, I'll do something. I don't want to stand here and just let myself be, taken, or, give up in front of this vile woman.
I mean, that sounds like what next episode's going to be like. Somehow they'll find a way to have all the children carry Emma out. Like Phil, and like 4 other children just carry her over.
I can't wait,
man.
I can't wait for the next episodes. They're gonna be so good.
I was going to say, one thing I did forget to mention when I was talking about the visuals of this episode is that it's, when it wants to separate people or, like, present people as in a superior position of power, etc., it uses a variety of angles and lighting that we've talked about before. But one thing that's really interesting is that all throughout Emma's leg break, outside of the one transition where, like, everything tilts, even Isabella's approach to talk to them, it's all framed visually by, like, the forest, and they're on an even playing field, and they stay on kind of the same plane throughout. So that was my hint that, like, okay, the kids aren't, like, they're still gonna think that they're still gonna try to find a way to escape, even though everything seems, like, hopeless right now.
It did seem telling to me. Sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
It did seem telling. It did seem telling to me.
Sorry,
like,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. It's okay. It did seem telling to me though. Like, there were two ways that, like, this could have played out after Emma's leg was broken, which was either Mom carries her back, as did happen, or the other, the other four carry Emma back somehow. They could have probably done that. You'd have Norman and Ray, one on each side, arms over, dragging her along like that. But that, to me, like, sold the defeat even more, that they didn't even come back with her. Like, well, they obviously did, or will have at some point. But no, that was it. Like, she was caught. Caught animal, pretty much.
Well, it's also a show of power from Mom, right? Like, so exactly. If the kids are going to inform each other, like, say, like, Emma's like, okay, Phil, like, we're escaping. Like, here's what's going on. You need to tell the younger kids, etc. That's a display of power that, like, oh, at any time, by the way, Mom can just, like, come and snap your leg and you're useless.
Phil, master of the younger children.
I love Phil.
The leader. Phil is so amazing.
Phil's gonna have a moment. I could feel it in my bones.
Okay, he hasn't had moments so far. Okay, sure, Shadon.
No.
Phil's achievements away from him. Phil is coming for you tonight. He's gonna take your soul. Be ready.
I don't have a soul, so TS.
That's great. He'll give you one and then take it away.
As you once did for the vacuous Rom. Grant us eyes, Phil. Grant us eyes to see.
Oh my god. Okay. I've got another question for you all here, and I'm going to put this up as a poll. So, I said before, like, about when Isabella says, I love you as though you were all my own children, and I was like, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Here's the thing, though, right? It's not the fact that she says that in itself that's the thing that, like, is so off-putting and, like, unsettling for us as the audience members. It's more the fact that I think that she genuinely believes in is just twisted into thinking that's the way in which one can express their love to them. Like,
I was going to make a point similar to that.
Lead in then. Go.
Okay, so before, like, in the previous episodes, episode 6, which was directly before episode 8, as everyone knows. Episode 7, just what didn't happen. We discussed about kind of how special kind of this farm is. Like, oh, maybe, Isabella's way of doing things is just kind of making these children happy, kind of increasing productivity, something. And also we were asking whether the toys were like trophies. So I'm wondering, since, like, Isabella kind of came out of the same system, came out of being an orphan, kind of being in mom school, being that stuff like that, maybe that kind of, are all of these things real? Like, she's saying, oh, I love you as children, I love you, whatever. So is that, I'm wondering, like, is that kind of what she, or like, an intimidation tactic, and also kind of like something the grandma did to her, so she's kind of parroting the same thing? Or did she kind of come out of the system kind of heartbroken, kind of empty, and she does this whole thing to kind of treat these children until their end days with as much kind of happiness as they can have in their life? Or, like, is this kind of her own way of, like, she was kind of just completely destroyed in mom school, and by the revelation that she, like, okay, I'm gonna fix, or I can't fix this system, I'm gonna, like, try and make things better for these children?
Yeah, it's a fair question. Because indeed, as we saw with Crone, she went through mom's school and ended up broken in a very different way. I mean,
Yeah.
your mileage is going to vary on how you feel about the doll as an anime-only edition, like, again, as visual shorthand for her psyche. I actually do like it, but I will also fully get behind people, saying, I'm not into that because I think it's too on the nose. But as I've speculated before, like, I think that both Isabella and Crone are broken. I think that they're just broken in different ways, in that Crone is a very extroverted kind of, broken person, whereas Isabella, like, all of her scars and cracks are underneath the surface.
I will say,
Excuse them, though.
if Isabella was to die to Nancy, whatever the monster's name is.
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
I have to say, I really hope all of the monsters and all the demons just have the plainest fucking names. And I hope they have the plainest after work conversations like, hey Bob, how was your day at work? Oh, it's great. I just sent off these 3 kids off to the shopping block. Got myself...
Hey, Bruce. What's up, Bruce?
Do you want a game of bridge afterwards?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering, like, okay, if Isabella died to Stacy, would she have said the same things? Would she have been screw this cursed system or not?
I'm gonna say yes, if only because we saw that she tried to escape before. In this episode.
I will say she, like, where she is right now, I feel like she wouldn't even go there. Like, I feel like she has kind of accepted the system a lot more than Crone. And, like, she's completely, like Shadon said, she's broken in a completely different way. I feel like she wouldn't even have gone there.
So she's just, like, completely assimilated? She'd just be like, okay.
I would say so, but still has some kind of, like, sympathy for the children and wants them to be better. Wants their suffering to not be, like, prolonged.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Here's what would be telling is if we ever got to see what Plant 4 looked like, and it was run really differently. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a guarantee, like maybe, as you pointed out, Valerie, like, maybe this is kind of her way of doing everything she can, like, to help the kids, like, and she just goes above and beyond what anyone else does. And that's why the plant is the most successful one, because she, maybe unlike even the other moms, like, she actually loves the kids in her own way. And, like, another Emily, Go Atomic Robot, in chat said, like, how would she even know what love was like? And, like...
Sorry, I stopped myself.
So, like, yeah, I mean, I guess whatever she knows of love, like, whatever Grandma showed her when she was still, like, a product or a livestock or whatever, like, whatever the maximum of that, I guess, would be. Well, I don't know. Do you think? Well, so I'll ask. Like, do we think, like, Mom is capable of actually loving the kids? Regardless of whether or not she does. Do we think, like, she's even capable? Like, has that capacity?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Probably.
I have a thought on that. So, like how you get the 2 kinds of groups of people, where you have people. Bear with me on this comparison, but like how you get people who are outright racist and will not, hide the fact they're racist, and you got the guys on the other side who go, "I'm not a racist, but." So here's the thing, right? But
our favorite
right,
people.
Here's the thing, right? I don't think how Isabella acts towards the kids, beyond the superficial, very mechanical nature of, like, providing them with food and whatnot, is genuine love as we understand it. In the same way as, like, I'm not a racist, but I think it's a question of her belief. She believes that she loves the children and cares for them genuinely.
Right.
It's a worldview that's been codified, possibly in response to the trauma she's gone through at mom's school. Maybe, just as her way of coping with what's going on, that she has to remain detached from these children. Like, I can't get genuinely attached to any of them because next thing I know, they're going to be off to the chopping block. So I think it's not a question of whether, like, I would agree that she loves them. I'd say she certainly believes she does, but it's not the love that we as regular people would understand and appreciate. But in her head, that doesn't matter. It's belief that matters.
Yeah, I mean...
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
The thing I think is really interesting is that, since we did see in the flashback that she tried to escape, and it was presumably Grandma who was a mom at the time, I guess.
That's what I'm going with.
Kind of stopped her. I think that it's an analogous, like, they're trying to create an analog between her and her treatment of Emma, and we have Emma's perspective from the child's perspective, right, where she genuinely did love Mom. She genuinely thought that Mom loved her, and those feelings, as I alluded to previously, are like really difficult to erase, right? Like even though she knows the truth, that she still, we see her struggle with trying to wrap her head around the fact that all of it was untrue, right? And also we see her try to struggle around her own feelings about it. And the question is, does the revelation like invalidate her own feelings? And I think the answer that the show sides like it kind of leaves that decision up to her. But I think we're building up to a point where likely Mom Isabella is going to approach Emma and ask her if she wants to become a mom. Like, basically be like, now that you know all of this, like, you know, do you want to continue in the system? Like, now that I've broken everything and, you know, nothing that you thought was going to go right did, like, now that you're trapped, how about buying into the system? And I feel like she underwent a similar conversation, likely with Grandmother, who basically was like, hey, I see you on that wall, like, you're gonna come down. And obviously this is a lot of like presumption, but I think the way that they've presented them visually, one coming from a top-down situation with Isabella and one coming from like the child's perspective with Emma, I think that's headed for some sort of clash, and whatever Emma says there will be really telling in terms of what the show sides on. I think it's going to side with Emma being like, no, fuck you. But I don't know that for a fact. That's just kind of what I assume the show will do.
I have to say,
will it even get to that? I'm wondering because, you know, obviously they're shipping Norman and Ray out like separately from Emma for some kind of reason like that. But will it even get to that? Like, I don't think like this is the time where Norman dies, obviously. So like they're obviously going to come up with something.
The package.
Yeah.
Ray will find the package and that'll set things in motion.
Don't say that word.
The package, don't laugh.
Oh boy.
So this whole topic, I don't know, has got me thinking about like more abstract things that are informing the show. Or I don't know, maybe they're not, but like this whole thing, does Mom really love Emma? Does Mom really love Ray and Norman? Like, this is really interesting to me that like here we have like kind of human love encountering, or not even encountering, like crashing against, like pressed up against like these oppressive systems, and you have like the systems basically like smushing out or chopping off like parts of the love, and like or the kind of definition of what love looks like, and what we're left with when we look at it. We're like, that doesn't look like love, like based on kind of how we know it. Because like when she said, when Isabella said, I love you, like you might not think it, but I adore you, I love you like I would love my own children. And the way I understand loving my own children is that like giving them like the freedom to kind of shape their life is like a huge part of that love. Like it's a super duper scary part of the way I love them, like letting them make mistakes and like choose their kind of self-direction and their path. Like, but it is because I love them, like that's not a thing I feel like I can take from them and still like love them and be a good dad to them. And but you have Isabella that clearly believes that. So I guess like it's like, is that what am I trying to say? Like, is this what's left over of love for her, or does she really not like love them like I mean, people kind of are meant to love each other, or parents are meant to love kids? Sorry, go ahead, Em.
I was just gonna say, like, so I'm not a parent, but I had incredibly strict parents who were very focused on making sure that I was doing the best at whatever I was doing.
Right.
So if I was going to do something, I was going to be the best at it. And that has carried on into my adult life in terms of how I approach literally everything. And I'm not going to decide on whether that's a good or bad thing or go into like a personal history, because I, at the end of the day, love my parents, and we've had several lengthy conversations about this between the two of us, or between the three of us, but mainly between me and my mother. But I think that the way you approach parenting is a lot different than the way other people approach parenting. So if you're bringing that in as your like perspective, just remember that that's your perspective in terms of how you treat your kids, and other people, like, they might see it completely differently. They might see it as like, this is what I know is best for you, therefore this is what you are going to do as a kid.
Right.
I have to wonder, one of the ways in which one might learn how to parent, though, is indeed from your own parents.
Yeah.
Speculation time here. What do you reckon that when Isabella came down from that wall, that Grandma broke her leg?
I wonder.
No.
I wonder.
I get the feeling that maybe some of Isabella's parenting techniques, or the way in which she approaches her role, may very well have been things that she learned from observation from Grandma. And as we learn from Grandma, she's a creepy old bitch who just takes pleasure out of watching people get murdered by demons. So obviously Isabella's got problems, and is obviously...
So Isabella was kind of persuaded. So she was probably like kind of more scared, kind of more observant, kind of... I can totally see like her taking a lot of like Grandma's kind of traits. That's also probably why Grandma like trusts her as much as she does.
Yeah, she feels like, I mean, I think it's a little bit more clear in the manga in terms of how like trapped Isabella is as well, whereas in the anime it's only been reinforced through like visual framing and this one sentence that we have from Grandma in the latest episode. But I think that Grandma's like 100, just like Isabella is like 100% that she can outthink the kids. Grandma is 100% in that she can let Isabella do whatever she wants at the plant, because Isabella's not going to betray her, even if it means like not necessarily following the rules, as Crone tries to bring up. And she's just like, yeah, well, I don't care.
It's like you said in your article. I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, well, no, you go ahead, because I was going to hop back to something earlier, so you go ahead if...
Well, it's like you said in your article, Emily, on the show where you brought up 1984, where complicity is best handled through, keeping people happy. If the herd's content, if they're not doing much, if the proles, are having a good time, going out getting pissed every weekend, they don't care what the party's up to. They don't care that the other people are getting stomped on perpetually by a boot. Thank you, Orwell, for that awful image. So, no, it makes perfect sense as well, similarly, to keep people happy and content within their confines. You don't need to break out if you don't feel caged in, after all.
Yeah, that's a super effective way that they have shown in the manga of doing it. So, I just, really quickly, Emily, I apologize, by the way. I did not mean to insinuate anything about your parents being bad parents
whatsoever. My point was more like you have this specific
parental
model that's like completely different.
Sure, yeah, totally. And I just wanted to
like more of what you see in the show. By the way, my parents are not terrible people.
No. I don't think that they are.
And grandmother, so I didn't try to. I'm not trying to make that comparison either. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad.
No. I don't think you're saying that, and I hope that you or nor other people that had different like parents who thought differently about it don't think that I am like sort of disrespecting that at all. And I think like I actually do think it's important to draw a distinction between parents like that, like parents who believe that they are like doing what's best for the kids, and that like they are I don't know, there's a difference between that, like, I don't know, let's say it was a like religious sort of bent to it, that like that they are saying like, hey kids, like this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, because this is what God teaches us, drawing on a little bit of personal experience here because I also had much stricter parents than I am as a parent. Like, this is what God wants and this is what God doesn't want. So, like, this is what'll make you happy. This is what you should do. Good. Like, I feel like there's shades of difference between that sort of thing and that kind of parenting and what Isabella's doing, because Isabella doesn't think, like, she's trying to bring... I mean, she thinks she's trying to bring them maximum happiness, but, like, it's in light of this, like, giant anvil that's about to drop on them, right? It's not like the whole rest of your life is going to be good and this is how you should be as a human being or whatever. It's like, I want, like, you guys to have the most feel good because no matter what, like, you're dead. There's, like, the oppressive system enters into it. And that's I don't know, that's, like, brings a different element to it, I think.
For me, I see how this is going to play out. It's going to end up being like the ending to Metal Gear Solid 3. It's going to be 20 years in the future. Emma and Isabella fighting in a field, you know, full of white lilies. Like, I've been waiting since the day of your birth, Emma. I've been waiting for your dream. It's going that way. It's happening. Emma's going to have a fucking eye patch on. I'm calling it now. That's seriously the mood I got when she pulled the CQC shit on her.
Yeah, and then Ray comes out as a cyborg ninja and is like, hey, Crone lives in my arm, in case you didn't know.
Oh my god.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Metal Gear.
Oh, dear. Dear, oh, dear. All right. There's one final thing I want to bring up just as a point of discussion here. So, I've speculated before that I don't actually think that the demons are necessarily harvesting human flesh, or if they are, that's not the primary goal. And I think there's a little bit of evidence in this about it. Which is to say that when we actually see, you know, the flower thing that kills Crone, like, you know, we get a little bit more info on that following what happens to Connie. But the eating metaphor that plays her out this way, the juxtaposition of, you know, Crone's death versus the kids eating, she isn't actually eaten, though. Her body goes grey and lifeless. But that's it. So I'm curious here, like, do we believe that it's, you know, necessarily that they're devouring the, you know, people's flesh? Or is it possibly soul, knowledge, something else? I don't know. Because, the thing is, right, let's talk about Peter for a second. Let's talk about those morons. Yeah, so Peter decided...
We did say we were going to talk about them.
Yeah, Peter decided, you know what, like, we have watched this show for approximately 5 minutes and we're going to use it to push our agenda. Congratulations. Not realizing that the show is actually wholly insufficient for their agenda of, you know, being against farming, you know, mass-producing animals, you know, in farms. Because the kids are, to use an analogy, kind of too free range for it to have that much effects. Just saying, Peter, you could have picked a better show than this one. Sorry. But my point is this, right?
This show about the livestock being loved and cared for and nurtured beyond all reason. Like,
yeah. Yeah, they could have done better than that. But like I said, I get the impression they watched maybe... No, they didn't even watch it. They read the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There you go. So
we are hip. We are with the children.
Can I
Let's
play...
stab against the haters.
Can I play, like, pro-PETA devil's advocate for a second here, Shadon?
Why would you want to?
That's a hill to die on, but
just for fun.
Carry on, my brave soul.
Just to, like, take out... to extend your thought process to its logical end here, I guess. Or play it out even a little bit. Like, what if the point is not, like... farms are cool if they love and take care of the animals before they kill them and we eat them. What if it's just like, hey, one species is like being lord and master over this other, and no matter how much love there is, because of that sort of inherent superiority, inferiority, you have some cruelty, and that shouldn't be. They should just be free and not eaten.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: eating meat is inherent.
It's kind of what I got from that too.
Eating meat is inherently an ethical hypocrisy. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not going out... I mean, even if I went out and killed the animal myself with a fucking spear, that's still, you know, it's not right. It's something that I have to live with, and that's it. But for me, like, I think the analogy in terms of how it works in the show, like, I don't think that, it's really... As much as people say, like, you know, it's an analogy for the education system, I don't think so. And at a similar level, I don't think it's an analogy for, farming, cattle farming, battery farming, you name it. I don't think that it lays that thick enough on there because the kids, they're only in so few number here. Like, they're not mass produced, not being cloned or anything. I think the idea that this show is trying to get across that seems to be lost perhaps between, Peter on the one hand and the educational people on the other is, can empathy and kindness and actual, family instincts, be it through found family, be it through actual family or whatever, survive in a world which that is crushed out or otherwise devalued or even made cynical, like in the way it is with Isabella? Because there's a cynical way for us to say, I love you as my own children. Oh, by the way, Norman, you're going down to the abattoir tomorrow, you get a little flower plopped into you, it's going to suck out your soul. Happy birthday! So, yeah, I think that's the key message behind the show, and that's why Emma's positioned as the protagonist above the other two. Because that's her viewpoint, that's her, personality. Mm-hmm. She is the true bomb of the show, above all others that we've seen thus far. So, for me, Peter, I get it. You're like those people who say, "Oh, what? You might like Berserk that has rape in it, and you like that, but you don't like other shows that have rape in it. You're a hypocrite." I'm like, you need to go a little deeper than that. You need to go a little deeper than that.
You've been scarred by those people. That's sort of trolls.
I'm just like, if people want to bring those arguments to a discussion, then it's like bringing blanks to a gunfight. You make a lot of noise, but you don't really do anything. You can try harder.
I do want to go on record. I realized I didn't actually give my position earlier when we were talking about Isabella. I just, from where I sit, she genuinely does love the kids.
In her own way.
Yeah, I just think, a lot of, as a 30-something, as an adult, you can, sort of see how unjust the system is, and over time just kind of get tired and feel like, I can't fight back, there's just nothing I can do. I can't fucking change it. It's too big, it's too strong, and, I think that might be where she is. It's she sees it as unjust. She clearly wanted to escape it, knowing the truth. But she just doesn't feel like she can change anything. And maybe she was by herself. Maybe her companions were sold off or whatever. Shipped out is the right word. But, yeah, I think she sees it as a bad system, obviously. And I guess she thinks the most I can do is, love these kids with all my heart and soul while they're here and do everything to, ensure they're happy. And also, I guess, be the best mom and rise up the ranks. I don't know. There is also that part of her that's competitive, that wants to have the best plate for Tiffany. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I said previously. I speculate on Crone, that maybe, or Isabella even, first kid that they sent off as a mom after being freshly minted, they probably broke their heart. Second one, similarly. But then you can see it just gradually erode from there on out to the point where we are now, where it's just another signature on a piece of paper.
I think the I love the children perspective is completely, is not compatible with the, I want to be a better mom, I'm going to enlist a traitor, I'm going to, be kind of, mean to these children, I'm going to kind of play these mind games and also taunt them. I'm gonna send this guy out early.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
It's
Fair
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna bring up, because actually now I'm curious to see what you guys think. I wasn't under the impression that she was in charge of sending out Norman early.
I don't think she was.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page, because I think when she tells Ray that the situation has changed, I assumed that after she reveals that Norman is leaving at the end of everything, I assumed that was what had changed about the situation. And she was just okay, now I'm just going to oversee this myself to make sure that Norman gets out.
All right.
I should know this, but I don't remember. So I don't know.
I was still saying, like,
I was just making an assumption, so I just wanted to see if if we all thought that or not.
I would still say, like, her attitude towards it, and like her kind of trying to intimidate the children. Like, oh, guess who's leaving tomorrow to get destroyed by Stacy? Like,
Nancy.
That's not like, oh, you love your children. Oh, like I think there's something more going there.
I don't know. If you have to discipline your children, it can suck. You can do shitty, angry things like that.
Just, Doc, as the actual parent amongst us, please don't take tips from this show. Jesus.
Please do not send your
shipping
children
you
to
out
he
tomorrow.
Him.
Yeah.
I'm sending you to he/him.
Yeah.
Right to Tiffany. Well, do you remember, Shadon, last episode when Isabella says it's time, and you were like, what is she talking about? Like, this could be one of the things, right? Like, it's time, like, to get the ball rolling and set my plan in motion. I've let all these other people have their little plans and run around. Now let's get Crone out of the way. Let's get Norman shipped off. Let's get all this, like, happening to I've allowed them to run free for too long. I'm going to rein them in a little bit.
Fair enough. No, that's a fair point. So I guess we'll have to see what happens next. Like, because I mean, they've got the package there, but Ray's got to find it. They've got to do something pretty damn quick, damn skippy before Norman gets turned into luncheon meat. And Emma's going to be a burden on everyone because of her broken leg.
Mom basically did let them finish the recon that they were going to do. It's like, it doesn't even matter anymore. You're fucking going. So maybe they'll come up with something neat.
Depends on what's in the package.
It's gonna be real good, y'all.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's
in the box?
This is apropos of nothing, but before we finish the discussy bit, I just wanted to say that Isabella slowly marching towards Gilda and Dawn was probably one of the top scariest things in the show so far.
Oh my god.
It was such a good scene.
I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was a good scene, but I thought it was really weird. Again, because of the music choice and the whole there's one point where she walks by and it purposefully does that thing where it shows frame by frame by frame her outline moving.
Was that King Crimson?
Yeah, I was just okay, this is again supposed to be very the entire episode just seemed very otherworldly and dreamlike to me because of
some of the camera angle swishes, looking sideways on.
I thought they were cool. I really I dug that of all the things you pointed out.
Yeah.
And if you watch the scene again, there definitely is a point where the music kind of turns it on, where the tension is dispelled a little bit. But at the beginning of it, before it's gone full KOF, and she's walking toward them, and it's Isabella, Dawn, and Gilda, Isabella, Dawn, and Gilda, and the sounds of her walking through the house, that specific bit of it before she again turns in front of them again and starts the breakdown, that part of it in particular, I really, really liked. I thought it was pretty chilling.
Before I forget, I have to say, props to the show opening after the OP on just Isabella's face for a solid 2 seconds. Holy shit. In case you forgot, shit be going down. Oh.
In case you forgot, this is about me now.
Yep.
I'm gonna show you what's what. Wrestling intro.
I
don't watch wrestling. Lord. Wrestling's horrible. I don't know how this works.
I used to watch as a kid.
You're very fired, Valerie. I'm making a note of it now, Valerie.
Okay,
fired.
Fired.
Yep.
Oh
You're
fuck!
done.
It's official now. It's on paper.
Yep.
You're getting ships out.
Okay, well, I guess, does anyone have any further points they want to talk about? Okay, well, let's rate the episode then. I know Valerie never likes to go first, so we'll have our wonderful guest go first. Emily, how would you rate this one out of 5?
I will not torture Val this time. I will torture a new guest. Hello, new guest.
No,
hospitality.
But I had a really good one for Darling in the Franxx, and I don't have a really good one for this one. I'll say I will rate it 4 Dutch angles out of 5.
Very good. Shady?
Very good, yeah. Well, yeah, like this was a great episode for like delivering on all the build up, like, you know, the characters now at the lowest point. I'm really interested in, like, I'm super motivated to see what they do to get themselves out of the situation because all the deck is stacked against them. Great direction as always. Like, this show's got great direction, just like how water is wet, but it doesn't mean you don't point it out. So for me, in the end, I'm going to give a similar rating as Emily. I'm going to give 4 out of 5 suspicious pens. Because that pen gets too much focus for it not to be something like a James Bond gadget.
I have no idea what the pen is.
It's very like intricately drawn, like the detail.
It has a
like
she pulled it out. She pulled it out, and I'm like, okay, this is her secret fucking radio to Grandma or something.
Yeah, you know what the surface of that pen feels like.
I'm gonna send Morse code by just clicking the pen.
It's gonna be like a Sean Connery James Bond thing. Like one time he gets a cigarette, just dabs on his hand, and then it just goes bang, and that's how they're gonna offer Isabella. For in a similar way. Somebody's up with that pen, I'm just saying.
You know it. Okay, Val. You are up.
This is my rating of the show. It's your turn.
Okay, so just, okay, alright.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I'm really stressed by this episode.
Okay, I get you. I'm feeling that.
That's a good thing, though. Like, not that you're stressed, but just that it shows it had stress.
It's a good stress. It's a good thing I want to die. Yes.
That you are so freaked out about this episode.
I dodged that bullet there. Ooh, save yourself.
I think, as usual, I am like the generous grader among us because I went the full 5. 5 more like dull boots out of 5 because
2.5 pairs.
And I think some of it is actually informed. As much as I talk about like not remembering details of the manga, like there's a lot of the like kind of higher points of this episode that I definitely remember. And like I think, like Shadon mentioned, so much happened. I mean, I have like double the notes that I usually have because I mean things are just moving so quickly, and it's revelation like one after another, and really like you got great speeches, you have scary moments, you got good music, you have character death, great flashbacks. I mean, this episode like has so much stuff, and while like some of it may not have like necessarily landed in the ways I would exactly love it to, like I was totally entertained all the way through, loved every minute of it. Yeah, I'm gonna go the full 5, and I loved like, you know, I think it was Emily who in your initial talking point were talking about like this is the first time that they've jumped over a hurdle and like fell down. Like they totally hit a wall, and I just remember it like, man, like it's not like before where you wouldn't even say that they hit a wall. They just come up against kind of a new puzzle, and they're able to puzzle it out. Like they get knocked on their ass. Like they really get fucking punched in the mouth, and like, I mean, it was just beautifully done, and the way that the subsequent chapters in the manga have them kind of react to it is also fantastic. So, yeah, I'm going full marks on this one. Loved it 2 pieces. Shadon, tell us about Twitter.
Twitter is a social media platform that has been known
Stop it now!
No.
Enough! Let's revisit the polls from episode 8, November
Indeed.
the 2nd.
Okay, so 2 polls. The first one out there was, does the Promised Neverland do justice to being a scathing indictment of the Japanese educational system or the workplace? Bit of a mouthful, but hey, there we go. Currently, 87% say no, it doesn't do it justice. I didn't think that like that would be that like I mean, we've not had many votes yet, merely, but I didn't think it would swing that high in that direction so quickly. But
Wow.
there we go. There we go. Second question. Does Isabella genuinely, if in a twisted way, love Emma, Norman and Ray as she would her own children, or is it all a complete lie? And we currently have a 60-40 split in favour of yes versus no.
Very interesting. I'm going to have to get out and vote. Everyone out there, go vote.
Participate in the anime democracy.
Yes. So, I think that we have said all that we're going to say about episode 8 of The Promised Neverland. We're going to wrap up, have everybody sign off. Firstly, I want to thank our returning guest, Emily Rand. Thank you so much, Emily, for once again.
It's been great to have you back.
It's always an absolute delight. Always a pleasure to have you on. Why don't you tell the folks listening where they can find your writing and your esports work, all of the above?
So yeah, I write on an anime blog called For Me in Full Bloom, or Atelier Emily, depending on how you want to call it. I didn't do a good job of branding myself, let's be real. And you can also find me on Twitter at AJ4th if you're at all interested in esports, which is my actual career is writing about and doing videos on esports. That Twitter account is at League of Emily. That's it.
Awesome. Valerie, why don't you tell everyone where they can find your delightful thoughts online?
My delightful thoughts. Okay.
Yep.
You can find me at Shadon1010. Twitch.tv/Shadon1010.
Somehow this happened. We chose each other's screen. I don't know why.
That explains so much about my Twitter feed. It really does.
It wasn't you, it was me. Okay, cool. I'm the silent hacker. I'm using your Twitter. At Vorgelia on anything. Just bye. Don't add me. Children.
Or do. Shadon?
Well, I think that's been spoiled, actually. I mean, I didn't want spoilers ahead of time in this stream, and we were doing all right, and now you've ruined it for. God damn it. No, yes, you can find me at Shadon1010 on practically anything. You know where I am.
And I, of course, am at The Subtle Doctor on Twitter. If you are interested in thoughts I have about the thing Valerie hates, professional wrestling, I have a wrestling podcast with friend of the pod.
And also Diebuster.
Yep, that's we don't talk about Diebuster, but those are also things that you hate that I love. I am doing a pod with David Majors, friend of Warui Deshou. He does an anime.
Is that his full name?
Yeah, at David.
First name David, middle name Majors, last name friend of Warui Deshou.
Yes, exactly. That's on the birth certificate. Yeah,
all the brothers to David Miners.
Yeah, mom and dad had a tough time. Mr. and Mrs. friend of Warui Deshou always have to spell it out like and the hospital was no exception. Grappalicious is the name of the wrestling podcast. God damn it, I had to get that out there. So, also, follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up with our shenanigans. It's at Warui Deshou. We have a SoundCloud. This week we're on Twitch. We're all using my Twitch channel. I have no idea if we're going to switch to Twitch as a podcast, but YouTube was, fucking up this week. Typically we're there. Yeah.
Just a different.
If you just search for Warui Deshou on YouTube, you can find the channel and find us there. Please follow us, like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. It helps us out. And thanks to everyone who found us in chat this week. It was fewer than usual because of the different platform, but sorry to everybody who missed it because of the change. Hopefully we'll be back at YouTube next week. But we love you all our listeners, all our watchers. What's the word? Viewers. That's the word I'm looking for. Viewers. Thanks so much.
Humans. Thank you,
all the humans who experience us. Thank you all. And with that, as we like to say, embrace each other, everyone, to the ends of the universe. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Oh my god, did anyone hear that? Oh my god, I think it's Phil. He's here to break my leg. Oh my god. Phil! Phil, no! Phil! Not again!
I love Phil. He's like the best
Phil
thing
is so
in the
good!
show.